We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
Welcome to our, I believe, 6th episode of Union of the Unknowns, where a bunch of us gather and get together and talk about different topics that we find interesting and whatever else other crap is going on in our lives. And my name is Jacqueline, ATL Connector. And then we have Keel Thor.
Hey.
We have Michael. And what's your Michael, what is your
I go by Jay Will. I co-host on another podcast, Carbonated Concepts. If you guys listen to anything, give it a shot. It's on all listening platforms. Just jumping in with you guys. Thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, thank you. And then we have our amazing Terry Canary.
Hello, everybody.
And we have, if you need to know anybody, know Big Perm, and you'll know that person too. If you ever heard of a second degree of separation, it definitely became true with Big Perm.
Hey.
And then we have an amazing special guest today, Prophetess Nea. Welcome, Nea.
Hey guys, I would love to wow you with my beauty, but I'm having a bad hair day.
That's okay. We have bad hair days most of the time, so it's all right. Anyhow,
day for me.
We wanted to bring Nea on. I've known her for a super long time, and she's one of the amazing people that I know of that has been in tune with myself in regards to seeing what was really going on in the country, around the world. And one of my questions that I had mentioned after meeting with some members at church, where we were doing a lunch afterwards, and I had mentioned that sometimes I like to go sit into the overflow room because I just don't want to be around a lot of people. And they said, oh yeah, us too, we still wear our masks and stuff like that. And I said, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's just because I don't want to be around a lot of people. They said, oh. And then that really got me to thinking. So then I was hanging out with these turds later on.
Bluetooth disconnected.
And I said, I was like, I really was wondering why it is that so-called Christians have not been able to like really see like we're living, I would think, in the book of Revelations, and just how a lot of this stuff is just so planned. And some of my other amazing friends here were wondering some of the same thing, even though some of them are not Christians and we all have our own faith and beliefs and stuff like that, which is one of the amazing things that we all that doesn't determine whether we love each other or not, and are friends. So and can hang out and communicate. And that's a blessing, really. But anyways, so I said, who better than to really like kind of like dig deep into this than have my friend Nea on and see what she has to say, because she has no problem calling people out. So, Nea, what do you think is going on, and why do you think there's so many Christians out there that just can't see and like submitted to the whole testing of this, the okie doke is what we call it.
Sorry about that. I was trying to Oh no, you can go ahead. Did someone want to go first? Yeah, I just believe that, people have gotten deceived. They have gotten sucked into the matrix. They've gotten sucked into the media, to whatever lie has been dished out. They're taking it. I think the conditioning started a while ago. I think for a very long time, they started with a lot of things and, in the cartoons, and it's programming. And I just believe that now that we're at this point, they can't see it because they're so conditioned and it just seems so normal. Where for the woke ones, like I call us, we can see it clear. We understand what's happening. We see what's happening behind the veil. But again, so many people, I feel like they live day to day, paycheck to paycheck. They're so caught up in their own thing. That's actually a second set of people. And they really don't pay attention to what's going on. I believe you have so many people that just, they watch the news, or they may take all of their facts from social media and they just don't think beyond that. They don't investigate. They don't troubleshoot. They're not critical thinkers. I believe that they just take things at face value, especially if the news says it, and they just roll with it. I know that was a kind of roundabout answer, but that's what I think.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
I have a comment, not necessarily a question. My comment would be that I'm not a Christian myself, but I do believe in a higher being and higher powers, and I was quite surprised how so many churches just knuckled under and closed down during the COVID scam, because to me, if you're a true Christian, your eyes should be on more higher spiritual matters, and you shouldn't really be worried too much about what happens to your earthly body. You shouldn't even be that worried about death, because you should believe that there's something better to come. And particularly for in the Catholic religion, and Monica Perez said this during her podcast, it's very important to them to have a weekly mass. That's part of what you're supposed to do to save your soul. And yet they were quite happy to have the churches shut down. They couldn't do that. It just, it didn't make any sense to me. And with a few notable exceptions, I mean, there were some, like Jackie and I used to swap news about this pastor in Canada who we quite liked, who was resisting fiercely and suffered a lot for his trouble. But he had the advantage that he grew up in communist Poland. So he knew exactly what was going on. He knew how to recognize totalitarianism when he saw it. And he at first he sent out all the authorities calling them Nazis, which I liked very much. So, but people like that were very much the exception.
That was our favorite preacher, right? During that time.
Yeah.
Terrence would always send me like the videos. He's like, Jackie, our preacher's at it again. So,
can I just?
Yeah,
I just
go ahead,
want
Michael.
can I re-ask the basis of the question of what you're asking? Because I might be going off a different way with the answer I want to give. I just want to know what can you restate the question on, like, Christianity's lost its way? Like, I mean, in what sense? I'm just curious because I have kind of some insight.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear it. One of my question was, as Christians, we understand like the book of Revelations, well, hopefully, and the end times, and especially appointing the part where you can't buy or sell in the marketplace. And that just gave me a revelation when I just read your last post, Nea, and which I'll read it here in a second. But I that must be triggered to that. So anyhow, so where they can't buy or sell in the marketplace, and they have the opportunity where you have to be able to take this mark. And so they were testing it out with this whole okie doke thing, where if you didn't receive the okie doke, then you couldn't fly, you couldn't go to other countries, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, whatever. And I was like, how do you not see that? You know what I mean? Maybe this isn't the mark per se, but how do you not see that it isn't the prerequisite to test the testing ground to get you to where they're going to take you?
I almost feel like it's worked backwards, if that's what they were trying to do, because I was a person born and raised in church. I went to church till I was 18 years old. I did all, you know what I mean? Did the whole thing, baptized, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, was very devout Christian, you know what I'm saying? I believed the whole thing up and down. And then I kind of fell away from my religion when I went off to college and started understanding life. And then it's like, oh, you know, yoga's legit. Oh, this Buddha guy has something to say. And then you start, you know, gaining knowledge on all these other religions or concepts of life or whatever you want to call it. And then now this whole COVID thing or whatever happened and shut everybody down and forced people to be separated and separated that. Now that it's coming back together, I feel more of an urge to go back to those environments, to be back reconnected. I'm saying this as a person that hasn't gone to church for years before this COVID thing. Like I stopped going. I was like, they just want me to volunteer. They just want my free labor. They just blah, blah, they're using me. That's how I perceived it. Because it was always like, hey, could you do this on Thursday night? Oh, what about that? And you say yes once, and they'll ask you all that you donate to the fire department one time. They'll call you every month for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I had this weird concept in my mind, but this COVID causing the separation in my community, now that it's all opening and now that they're doing like, oh yeah, calm down, blah, blah. Now I feel like I'm more willing to kind of go back into it. So I guess on my end, I feel like it's had the reverse effect if they were trying to separate us. I guess that's
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like how my friend was talking about here in Georgia, like how a lot of people have been walking away from the church, but I heard the opposite in places like New York. So it just really seems that places of where it's been way more restrictions and stuff like that, and they've really been trying to keep people separated, people have started falling back towards, you know, their faith and stuff like that. Nea, I know you want to say something. Go for it.
You know, I do, because I totally screwed up the first time because I misread your question. When I thought you were just kind of giving some open commentary when you were talking about how you know, kicked it with some of your church friends or whatever. I didn't realize that was part of the question. So my sincere apologies. But one thing I will say is that a thing that I had talked about and had prophesied at the very onset, or really before, was that we were going to go through a season of the wheat and the tares, a separation. And that's what happened. Like you saw who was really with God and who wasn't, because like the gentleman was just saying, Michael, you know, being separated, I mean, you didn't have a building to go to. You didn't have, you know, someone coaching you and preaching you along. It was about your relationship with the Lord. Are you true to your faith? You know, if you can't get up and go through the doors of the church every Sunday, are you still rocking with God? Do you still love Jesus? You know, is your faith still there with him? You know, and a lot of people went more into studying their word. And, you know, of course, there was a lot of online church available. So they were able to now open their palette to so many different wonderful teachers of the word, because where they were just at their church every Sunday, then they started getting exposed to other pastors and leaders abroad, you know, and throughout the country, that they could get, you know, some really good word from, some excellent teaching, some excellent Bible teaching. So I think that for some, it really grew their faith as for those people. But then I also feel like the ones who were not rooted in God, because I feel like for some people, church is like a social club. You know, they go, it's the thing to do, it's routine, it's ritual. We go, we hang out. But when that got cut off, then what do you have? Because if you really don't love God, then what do you have? You just stop. You just, you know, if the social connection isn't there anymore, you know, that's like if the club shuts down. So then I don't go out. I don't have anywhere to go. You know, I just drink at home kind of thing, you know. But, you know, I just feel that as it relates to the whole deception part, I love what Terry was saying about the church and not fighting harder. Like you did have some pastors that did fight. And we saw in Texas that one of them went to jail for it, where he refused to close his doors. And he said, you know, this is a place of worship. You know, this is separation of church and state, doggone it. We don't take your grant money, so you can't tell us to close our doors, you know. And but, you know, they arrested that pastor not once. No, it wasn't in Texas. It was in Florida, right? It was Florida, actually. But it It was.
I don't know.
I'd go Texas. I think Florida was pretty open.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. DeSantis. What am I saying? You're right. It was definitely Texas. But and by the way, DeSantis is like my hero. Just want to throw that out there. He is like my homie. Please run for president. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I do really feel as though a lot of people just really don't have the faith that they claimed. Unfortunately, it exposed a lot of leaders too, because the flock may have wanted to be in church, but the leaders kept it closed. Do you know, I know a church literally here in Atlanta that, I kid you not, just opened their doors back up in June, this past June, or maybe May. And I'm like, wow. You gotta be kidding me, because of the pandemic. And it was too much for me. Now, I do agree with in the very beginning, because we didn't know a lot about it and it was a little scary in the beginning. I do think using wisdom, we should have, sheltered in place for a while, a few weeks, let it die down, just like with any other bug that's going around. You let it run its course and you kind of stay out of the way for a little bit. But I definitely feel that it went on way too long. I want to shift for a minute, if you don't mind me throwing this into the pot.
Go for it.
What I'm noticing now, when I called a friend, because unfortunately, guys, I don't want to name the company, but I have a friend who's an engineer who is in jeopardy of losing her job. Now, we know that it was the Lord that allowed her to keep her job because she had a religious exemption. She kind of got ahead of it when she first got wind of vaccine before it got out there. She wrote a religious exemption. They accepted it. But then guess what, y'all? Earlier this year, they kind of pulled her in the office. Now, mind you, I can't name the company, but she works in a Fortune 500 company. She's one of their top tier engineers. She's on their executive level. And they called her in and basically said, so it's been a year, what are you going to do? You still have you gotten vaccinated yet? And she said, well, I had an exemption. And they said, well, yeah, we let that ride for a year, but we're here now. We let you do that for a year. But, this company, we have a mandate. So what are you going to do? Have you changed your mind yet? And she said, no, I'm not. I promise you guys, this was on a Wednesday evening. Wednesday, they called her in the office. They said, well, I guess Friday is your last day.
Wow.
That's exactly.
Wow.
I'll just say one thing and then someone else take the floor. This country still, if you don't have a COVID vaccination, you can't come back. You can go to Canada, but you can't come back into the United States, or you can go to Mexico, but you can't come back if you don't have a vaccination.
If you are a United States citizen, you can, but not if you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
They let foreigners cross the border all the time unvaccinated.
Right. Right.
Well, that's because they're illegal.
You have to sneak across.
Yeah.
And then they send them to Martha's Vineyard. I just love this.
So Nea, Friday was her last day?
Well, no, this incident happened a little while ago. So because she has friends in high places, she got a lawyer that got her a 6-month extension that allowed her, listen to this, to not be considered an employee, but to be a contractor of the company. Mm-hmm. So she has until the end of the year to, quote, decide if she's going to be vaccinated or not. If not, she has to walk. But check this out. I sent her just this morning. I don't know if you guys know this, but we all know that, the CDC is kind of loosened up on that. And everyone is changing their tune. JP Morgan, Adidas, 2 other financial institutions, big ones, but I can't remember who they are right now. But they've all retracted their vaccine or lifted their vaccine mandate.
Southwest Airlines.
Oh, really? Well, and let me tell you what's funny about the language of this thing. So it's out there, but what was said was that they're not going to make it public. Well, there's many other companies that have followed suit, but they are not going to make it public. They just won't require a vaccine going forward. So isn't that crazy? So you won't just publicly say, because now you've made all these people get vaccinated. I want to go back to the same friend I was referring to One of her coworkers took the jab because she didn't want to lose her job. She was vaccine injured really bad, guys. And she went to her company for medical help compensation, and they told her that was on her.
Exactly. 100%. That's why you make that company take responsibility. Well, if you're forcing me to do this to be able to keep enslaved by you, then you are going to take all responsibility for any medical issues that are going to come after this. And if you want me to sign this, if you want me to go ahead and take this okey doke, then you're going to sign this agreement between the two of us that if I have any issues, if I have any issues after the medical issues, that you guys are 100% responsible for all this for the rest of my life.
Right.
They just need, I feel like there's certain fields that shouldn't have to require it, as far as like nurses, EMTs, police officers. Like, you guys are good. We need you to keep the, you know what I'm saying, the society in check here. We need to have checks and balances and blah blah blah. But if you work for Google, and Google's like, get the shot or you're fired, it's a private company, man. You just either do it or not. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to work there. There's no, but if it's like a government program, this is where I have the problem. When the school bus drivers and the city bus drivers and the garbage man has to get vaccinated to do those jobs, and then they don't do it, they don't want to get the vaccination, so we lose 50% of our work crew. I'm like, just, these are tasks that need to be done to keep, you know what I'm saying, for our kids to go to school, for our fires to be put out, for our electricians, for all these jobs that are essential that did not get the pass supposedly by the government deemed as an essential job. Those jobs should not be mandated, because mandating them, what does that do? That just puts more strain on the system that's already strained. It's like, well, I mean, you can't do it. It's a backwards process in my mind. Like, it's self-damaging. Can I get, what do you think, Keel?
I think you're correct. But I would look at it from the perspective of, you know, these are state employees. My taxes are paying for them to be there. I don't care if they get vaccinated or not. So I don't want them to have to quit, you know, and lose all what you're saying, lose all that productivity in industry. So, you know, but, you know, I didn't vote for the guys that are making those decisions anyway. So what can I do about it? I'd rather that garbage men and nurses and all those other types of workers not be paid by the state anyway.
I also feel, I mean, I hate to just, I feel like we're jumping around a lot, but I feel the same way as like with the teachers union and all this stuff. Like, those should be privatized jobs, because that's how you get the best employee. Like, you don't get the best salesman by saying like, no sales quotas, we all make $100, whatever, do your best. No, you get it when it's like, yo, whoever gets the most gets the biggest paycheck. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
let's make it a competition.
Dollar bills, y'all. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. And I don't know if this is correct for me to say this, but that's why I consider myself a capitalist. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna work harder. I don't care if you're breaking the rules or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate effort deserves to be rewarded.
Yeah.
So I feel like
competitive free market will win out in every scenario.
Nea's always worked in a field where, like, if you don't work, you don't eat, right, Nea?
That's right.
That's how it should be.
She's like,
I think now, I was going to say, I think now you'd have quite a good case for unfair dismissal, particularly now that the CDC has backtracked on some of its advice. If someone's prepared to take it on, I think you might win the case in court, because, you know, they're saying you've either got to get jabbed or you're sacked. And I think you'd have a good case to prove that, you know, the jabs don't work and are very dangerous. So if someone's prepared to take it on, I think you might get somewhere with that.
and not only that, but she could group her friend in with everything that got vaccine injured and turn around and have a dual case for that attorney.
True.
That company
Can
can
you
be in
guys
a lot
hear
of
me?
issues.
Yes, you're good. You're good, Big Perm.
I'd like to speak to a couple of those things.
Go for it.
I also got
Shut
a
'em down.
religious
Yeah, sorry,
exemption,
I was kidding.
so I know what she had to go through in those early days to get ahead of it and wait for who knows how long until they actually make a decision, wondering if you're going to have a job again or not.
Shout out to Monica for helping out with that.
Well, and speaking of Monica, I would refer your friend to We the People USA. I believe that's the group of attorneys that are taking on these types of cases. And they're taking lots of donations from around the country to help fund these cases so these people aren't stuck with footing the bill. And I'm pretty sure they'd love to take on a Fortune 500 company any chance they get. So I would definitely refer them there. Okay. Also, the church thing. I've been going to a Lutheran church since I was born. I don't go as often as I should, but when everything first started and they said they were going to stream the service, I thought, well, that's kind of cool. You know, I could, on the days I don't want to get dressed at 9 a.m, I can just flip it on and watch. But it started off with technical issues. It just buffered the whole time. And the other thing I noticed was, how am I supposed to take communion from my couch? So these people have to go a year and a half without taking Holy Communion. It's just not right, in my opinion. But that was my 2 cents on that.
Real quick? You can continue. I just want to interject some with what exactly what you said. The point of getting up and getting dressed on your day off is part of it. Like that in itself is effort. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Nobody is like, oh, well, the game just started. I love to go to church and sit here for an hour and a half or whatever, however long the service is. I mean, like when they started doing the digital thing, I feel like the value of going to it, I was like, this is bullshit. It's just like watching something. I'll turn a YouTube video on and then I'll walk away and I'll put a headphone in and I'll start folding some laundry and so you're kind of halfway listening. That's how I felt with the church thing. That's like, I feel like that grind, I guess you would say, of, you know, is my shirt pressed? Am I going to look okay? Did my family eat breakfast? Oh gosh, we're running late. Like that whole systematic approach to it is actually valuable to it.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Go for it, Nea. You're the main guest. Go.
To Big Perm. No, I wanted to say, Big Perm, that, you know, you can self-serve communion. You can buy the sacraments, like you can buy unleavened bread and get you a little red wine or grape juice and keep it at home, and you can pray and have communion at home. Because the Bible says, as often as you do this in remembrance of me. So you don't technically need a priest or a pastor to officiate the Lord's Supper. Just wanted to tell you that. My husband's a pastor, by the way.
I think that's a great idea for times that I definitely can't make it. I would hate to use that as an excuse to stay home and not to attend church, but I'll definitely keep that in mind and keep some on hand. I appreciate that. I've never even thought about that.
Is it the same though? I remember they used to tell us you can go into the pantry at night and say your prayer and just take a swig off the grape juice and eat a saltine and it's good. It's the same. And I was like, man, is it really the same? Like I was worried about that. First, I mean, that's what they were teaching us in youth class. Like, if you just can't make it, I was like, man, I feel like that's disrespectful. I just personally, I don't know.
Well, you buy the right stuff, Michael. You don't just eat the saltine, because the Bible
says they told us anything.
So you have to eat bread without yeast.
Oh yeah, no.
I think the intention is what matters most.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Certainly.
I agree with that, Brooks. It is the intention, but that's what they were just telling us in school. And I used to always be like, man, I don't know. Like that seems a little sketch, but I guess.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying. You're like, look, I have a Dorito and some Pepsi. Let's do this.
Yeah. What am I doing? Am I going to commune to this? What are we talking about? Like, this is delicious. I'm sorry. Bad joke. Okay.
Okay. Can I chip in something else?
Go ahead, Terry.
Because I think you're right. There's there's a community aspect to church. You know, it's not just about, you know, as a non-Christian, even I can see that. But, you know, you get together with like-minded people. And to my mind, that is one of the reasons they targeted churches for shutdown, because, you know, you get a group of people who have a sort of different way of looking things from the elite, because we know they don't really believe in anything much other than evil things. And, you know, people with supposedly a more spiritual way of looking at things, they could get together and say, you know, this is all bullshit. We shouldn't be doing this. And that could be a significant problem for them, particularly in America, you know, because there are a lot of Christians there. So I do think they deliberately went to the churches for that reason. And this is something else that Monica Perez often says, you know, she thinks they were deliberate.
I feel like they were attacking the morality of society by shutting down churches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the people that go to church every Sunday, or the whole heart. I mean, you can, whatever, there's all those different types there, but the majority, they're the people that go to work 8 to 5, have a family, you know, got young kids, bringing it all together, raising in the church, you know, were raised in the church. So kind of like the core of the community. So I feel like that's why when the church shutdown happened, it was like, it was a shock to people that consider themselves followers of any religion. Like, you can't practice. What are you going to do on your own time? You know, you're going to study, what are you going to do?
I can definitely say post-COVID that I have definitely, like yourself, Michael, have started going to church more consistently and not just looking at it online. And like, I've never walked away from my faith, but I definitely walked away from the church for a while because I just was kind of like whatever about it. And once I started sleeping in on Sundays, like I just got lazy and just didn't want to get up and go. It's nice. It is nice to sleep in, but you were 100% right. It's that effort to get up, and I'd be like, oh, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. But then I'm like, no, Jacqueline, if you can get up to go to work, or you can get up to go to this other event, you can get up to go serve God. You know what I mean? Just so get your butt up and go and make it on time. You know what I mean? So
yeah, do all not the most important thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so post-COVID, like I've been consistently going every single Sunday to my church, which Nea, by the way, I know I sent you information, but they are doing a grand opening tomorrow. If you still want to check it out, but yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. And so they have a 10 o'clock and 11:45 service, and then they're doing like an after party or whatever you want, like what a church would do, not like a secular after party.
DJ Kelly. No, I'm just waiting.
No, DJ Kelly will not be DJing.
There's a DJ Cristo or something. Anyway, what's the next topic we're rolling to? Let's get these fellas followed.
So Nea, so one of the biggest things like with Nea is like she would just point out stuff on Facebook and stuff like that, and people would just, she would just get attacked for it. So Nea, like you had like a lot of people that were Christians on there. Do you think that do you think like when you would post some stuff that God would put on your heart, that it just would mess with their like full identity, and that's why they would just get so crazy about it and be like, you know, whatever with you?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, unfortunately, when people are challenged to think differently, they're offended by that at times. You know, not everyone, but when your belief system or the way you like doing things is challenged, you know, for example, you know, and this is not to offend anyone when I say this, but I felt like the Lord showed me this. And you may remember this, Jackie. I posted that the antichrist would be a transgender, and gay people came for me. I didn't say I hated gay people. Never did I ever say I didn't love them. Never said anything like that. I was saying it in a sense of pointing them on what to look for. For example, it's like saying he'll be wearing a green shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like to describe what to look for. Oh, no, let me change that. He'll be wearing a purple striped shirt.
All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
To those listening only, I am wearing a green shirt. So
right. For those listening, my apologies. No, but you guys understand what I'm saying. It was a description, and I believe it's because that is a very big pushed agenda. We can see how they are indoctrinating our children already with this idea of even kind of intercepting their own ideas of their gender identity. Like from a child, it's like they're trying to almost from the womb, from toddler stage now, trying to indoctrinate how they view themselves, as, a boy or a girl, or I want to identify as something else, but kids don't think like that. Come on, we all grew up as children. Boys were boys, girls were girls, period, And my thing is this, a 6-year-old doesn't know if they want Pop-Tarts or cereal for breakfast. How can you let a child make that type of decision for themselves? A child, seriously, like I think about my own kids, when they were really small, and it's like literally one will want one thing and literally an hour later want the total opposite. I don't want that anymore, Mom. I want such and such, and that is the mind of a child. And I just feel that this agenda is there because I do believe it is of Satan. If you look at the statue of Baphomet, he has both parts. Baphomet is a transgender. The statue of Baphomet, if you've ever noticed it, if you look at how he's drawn or how he's depicted, he has both parts. He has both breasts as well as, he has both male and female genitalia. I'll just say it that way. And I just believe that that's it. I believe that's part of this whole systematic thing, another thing for them to program us with, to change our society, to change our moral compass. But I do. I brought that up because, like you said, I get attacked. And again, it's not because when I post that, I never attack anyone gay, because I do love gay people, right? I stand on what the Bible says. The Bible says that homosexuality is a sin, but I'm not saying that I'm against, because look, I love someone who lies. I love someone who's cheated on their taxes. You know what I'm saying? And that's all considered sin. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not against people for their mistakes, because that's between them and God. It's not for me to convict or judge them. It's not for me to condemn them. It's just for me to love them, and just when I have the opportunity, present, the love of God to them. That is what my responsibility is. And I do feel like when I post things like that, because people are in that lifestyle, or because they are connected with people, because I had a few people come at me because, I happen to know that their parents are same gender. My one friend has, quote, 2 moms, things like that. They came for me. Oh, I can't believe you would post this, and how insensitive. But you're offended because it touches where you are. If I were to post, it's raining outside, you wouldn't be offended by that, because it doesn't touch your core. It doesn't touch, something. And I feel that people already kind of know it's wrong, but they want it to be right. You know what I'm saying? They want to make sense of it, or they want to make it okay. So they, come at me, they combat me, they fight me, they yell at me, they call me out my name on my own Facebook page. But God won't let me delete them or block them, because oftentimes they usually come back around. Sometimes it takes a couple of years, but sometimes they'll finally come back around and say, you know what, I understand what you were posting. I get it now,
The Baphomet is oftentimes depicted with children at his sides too, a young boy and young girl looking up to him. And it seems that the latest push has been to get younger and younger children onto hormones and things, convincing them that they are what they're imagining. My daughter tells me every day that she's a different animal, a unicorn, a butterfly. She tells me that I'm a butterfly, or, different things. Like, kids, this is what they do. They just imagine. And it seems that in this clown world, they're just going after those imaginations and using them to push the kids in directions.
Yeah. Manipulate them.
Isn't this part of the problem? Because, you know, a lot of churches seem to have gone super woke and are going along with it all. Like, you know, they're flying their LGBT flags or the Ukrainian flags even outside, and, you know, going along with the COVID crap. And as you say, you know, maybe even supporting transgenderism for children, you know, and I think a lot of people don't really know what they stand for anymore.
Right. And the BLM flags and everything.
Yeah. To be honest, I've only seen these things online. In personal life, I haven't, you know, I guess at a Lutheran church, we're a bit more traditional than some of the other denominations, but I haven't personally seen churches flying these flags or
my church doesn't.
Super woke.
Your church does?
Does not.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah, no, Nea. I would not be going there.
Well, I have plans tomorrow. No, I'm joking.
Oh, no. I almost thought about quitting when they said that if you signed into the Wi-Fi, you know, they were like doing the contact tracing and stuff like that for COVID or whatever. I was like, I almost considered quitting the church for that. But my pastor and stuff, they're freaking amazing. So, and I think they were kind of just figuring everything out like the rest of us. So I did want to read before we get ready to sign off here in a few minutes. So Nea, is it okay if I just read your last post that you did about
Sure.
I had a dream last night? Okay. I had a dream last night. Rations were in order. People were collected, gathered, and grouped. Seemingly ladies and women were grouped together, yet I saw men in the marketplace. We were given a shopping cart larger than the usual ones, and we were given the opportunity to go pick up whatever was needed or deemed necessary for survival. Most of what was there to choose from was made of straw or wicker type material. So it wasn't even food or essentials. When I would be in line, a giant-like person would just get in front of me. And that mattered because we only had so much allotted time to get our items. I want to add, we didn't have money. However, so you had a chip in your hand. However, everything was paid for from our accounts. Yet we didn't have to produce any card or anything. Remember, we were brought to the marketplace, which looked like a Target and IKEA mixed together to gather, not shop for what we needed. And we knew to get a sufficient amount because we may not have the opportunity again for a long while. So what do you think that means, Nea? And like what inspired that?
Well, it was a dream, and I do know the interpretation. Let me just say that she added the chip part because I want to be clear.
I added the chip part. Nea did not say that. Okay.
If I'm dreaming about me, I'm not getting no doggone chip.
Yeah.
But no, it was my dream, and I was in the dream. But the thing was, it was implied, like you just knew that you didn't need money. It was almost like a system was already in place. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? And when we were sent into these places, again, to gather what we needed, it looked like we were in some sort of IKEA or a big Target. Have you ever been to those Targets in big cities where they have more than one floor? Because I know in some cities, Target is all on one floor. But if you're in like major cities like Miami or New York, Targets they have layers. Like you can go up and down the stairs or the escalators and things like that. Well, it was a Target like that / IKEA type place we were in. But again, like you said, it was like everything was made of some type of straw or wicker. To be honest, it also had like some linen type material in some of the items, as well as porcelain. I know that sounds weird, but those are the things we were gathering. And I believe that the interpretation was, seriously, every time we were in line, it was like a giant type of a person. They would be really tall and big, and they were dark complected. And I don't mean that in a racial way, but I'm just telling you my dream. But I believe that after waking up and thinking back, I believe that it was like big tech or something to that effect, because they were the giants, like whoever the giants and I believe that the people were really dark skinned because it was depicting darkness. And I don't mean that, if anyone's listening, I do not mean that from a racial standpoint. I mean that from, a spiritual standpoint, just showing that it was, it represented darkness, because these people were out of the ordinary dark. They weren't just, like Michael Jordan complexion. They were like literally black, like legit black skin. So it was almost like you couldn't see their face, like they were images of something, but they were giants, and they kept getting in our way. But then they would say, oh, excuse me, I'm just getting a few things, and they would just cut in front of you. But I felt like it just represented, you know, again, big tech or these big companies that are coming in still taking from us, you know, representing, just like how, for example, China is in the US buying up a bunch of property and land. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's almost like the giants are trying to take what we can get, you know?
Well, that's currently what is happening. Like, if you see that they're like, oh, minimum wage in certain states, not here, over here it's 16, I believe, but in other places it's like $22 an hour, fast food driver. You know what they do? Automated burger flipper, automated. You have to order online. There's a one technician to work on the machines in the store. That's it. They don't need 30 employees anymore. Same thing down in UP. They have an automated frozen warehouse. All the frozen food, the truck drops it off. The guys drop it in the bins, and it's like, Albertsons, I need bubble. And it's all automated. So it's like, wow. It's happening. You know, as the higher the minimum wage goes, the less jobs there are.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just make it $7 an hour and you pick up napkins off the ground. That's your job. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, wow. It's crazy. Like, all these minimum wage, it's all turning to automation. Everything. This is my prediction. Because of the theft and things that are going on currently, every Safeway, every Albertsons, every grocery store, every Walmart is going to become a box store. And you know how they have these people walking around picking your orders? It's going to be online order only, and you're going to drive up and pick it up. They're going to be warehouses. That's what it's going to turn into. Or you can pay extra and have someone drop it off at your house. It's not going to be like, oh, I like this apple. Oh, this one has a bruise. It's going to be decided for you.
I did see this commercial where this chick was she was walking around in the grocery store, and you just put like your goods and stuff like that in the shopping cart, and it was charging your credit card as you were putting it in the shopping cart.
That's the Amazon thing. Yeah, and these Amazon. So we live in Seattle, Tacoma area. There's Amazon. They started the test pilot thing. I can't remember where it was. Somewhere in Seattle.
The Amazon Goes, downtown Seattle.
Yeah,
I thought it was Walmart or something that they did that.
You sign in, and whatever you grab, you just put in your cart, and you walk out, and it charges your account.
They have them in the arenas here now too. What you do is you walk through, two little things with the flap, and you put your credit card in, pull it out, the flap opens, you walk in, take what you want, and walk out, and it knows what you took and charges your credit card.
Oh, heck nah.
I tried it one time at a Seattle Kraken game, just see what it was like, and it felt really weird just grabbing something off of the shelf and walking out and knowing I should be charged for this one beer or whatever.
And that's what I'm saying, though. That's where it's going. You keep raising the minimum wage, guess what? Technology will put you all out of work. All I need is an engineer now that knows how to work on these machines, a software engineer. Other than that, I don't need the guy to make the fries. I don't need the guy to do the burger. I don't need the guy to scan you. You don't need
Not to mention, the convenience of it is going to get people on board that wouldn't have been on board before because it's so easy to just grab something off the shelf instead of waiting in line for 45 minutes. The last baseball game I went to, I missed 2.5 innings because I was waiting in line for a beer. Now I can just walk in, grab a beer, and walk out and go back to my seat and not miss any of the game.
Yeah. Wow. Do you have like a thing on your wrist or something that like a band or something on your wrist that's attached?
It's all on your phone, isn't it?
You can't walk in until you swipe your credit card.
Oh.
So you swipe your credit card, it opens up, you walk in, grab your stuff, and go.
So they do it by face recognition? Is that how they're...
I imagine every piece of merchandise in there has some sort of RFID on it, so it knows what walked out the door.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like I've ordered stuff on the app for Dunkin' Donuts, and when I drive up to the Dunkin' Donuts digital sign, hello, Jacqueline, I'm like, oh, the first time that happened, I was like, that's weird.
Oh, wow.
And then today I went to Dunkin' Donuts, I was like, how come it didn't have my name pop up?
Yeah, like what the heck? Like my wife, we signed up for the I think it's Walmart Plus or whatever, the unlimited free delivery, and alcohol, beers, anything you need. Oh, I need 2 cloves of garlic. I need 2 limes. I need an onion. Like, yeah, we'll be there in 4 hours. And they'll just like show up with the stuff. Very weird, very strange. But I noticed with the produce, it's always the damage. It's like, you know, when you go to the store, you're like, oh, that tomato shit. And you get the other one.
Yeah.
The store like tomato, boom, boom. And they're just putting it all in there. They don't care. They're just
No, they don't care.
Then that's the thing. That was like, you can't order produce from it. But at the same time, too, the convenience. I'm like, you know what? It's nice. The beer showed up on my doorstep. I can't be mad. And
yeah, we were ordering from Whole Foods when the pandemic was in the like thick of things, and the produce was always like, they must have purposely like grabbed the worst produce they had on the thing.
It's like they have a back center with all the bad produce that gets to all the delivery people. So, but anyways, okay.
Especially social credit scores in bad shape.
Nia's got to get ready to go. And so we're going to go ahead and I know we started about 10 or 12 minutes late, but let's go ahead and get ready to close shop on this episode. So Terry, you were just in the middle of saying something. Would you like to finish your thought? And then we'll let Nea close us out with the last bit of thought, but any last thing you'd like to share?
I was only just saying that, you know, the reason that Big Perm and Michael get bad produce is that their social credit score is obviously in bad shape. Wait till it goes down further, then you get nothing.
Well, you need to tip the delivery guy better next time. He'll make sure you got better stuff.
I tip better than anybody I know. I'm like a 50% tipper.
Yeah. Oh, you're a 50? Oh, I'm a 20.
But yeah, I'm sure my social credit score is shot.
Well, Michael, since he's hanging out with us, his social credit score is going to get even worse.
Yeah, his podcast, he just talks about like sports and good times. We're going to drag his credit score down.
You're lying. We talked about all the bad stuff when you were on.
Also, for me, closing out, I just like Nea to know that I'll be praying for your friend that she finds a job that's better than the one that didn't appreciate her. I think a lot of times these things happen for a reason and we end up in a better position than we were before. So that's my
and she may
closing.
even move into doing contracting stuff for different people and not even have to worry about that crap anymore. Kilthor?
Let's get rid of the minimum wage completely. How about that idea?
Thank you.
I agree.
Yes.
Good idea.
Sorry, guys. My dog wants to go crazy at the final thoughts.
Of course not. Of course. It's okay. Go ahead, Nea. How would you like to close? Oh, Michael, did you close this out? You close
I just want to say, again, Nea, thank you so much for being on here. It was very nice hearing your insight. And again, thank you, Terry, Kilthor, Jacqueline, Big Perm, letting me get on this. I appreciate you guys a lot. Much love. Okay, now she can finish it.
Yeah. What would you and your dog like to say?
Yeah, I want to come back. I just feel like, you know, I had a long day. I was a little rushed. I jumped on, blah, blah, blah. But I want to be back. I want to come back and be a part of this nice community here. I'm feeling this. I'm enjoying it. So
yeah, we'd love to have you back on. We do it every couple weeks. So
okay, cool. Please let me know. And I'm sorry, Roman is in the background wanting to be heard.
Ramon.
Ramon.
Yes. But you know, my final thoughts is just, you know, I have a saying, whatever the news says, believe the opposite. So just, you know, stay vigilant, guys. You guys are all woke. You're very intelligent people. And, you know, vet everything. That's what I say, vet everything, you know. Check it out. Don't take anything at face value. You know, research it for yourself. Dig in. Know what you're getting into or lack thereof, and you know, keep your hands up.
Hey, Nea, have you heard from Sam Tripoli yet?
Have
you heard from Sam Tripoli yet?
Are you talking to me? Oh,
yes,
sorry.
Nea.
I'm
From
sorry,
Zero
Roman
Podcast.
No, I haven't heard from him.
Okay, he's gonna reach out. But once you do get on, make sure you give us a shout out on there. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know the unknowns. Make sure you give us a shout out. Oh, which reminds me,
what's your? Me all that, so I
will. What's your website? Just give us your website.
my website
Yes.
is culture with a K, nation.com. But you guys know that we're in ministry, so it's not that type of website.
For the culture.
Yes.
Culturenation.com. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll have that in the show notes. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Don't anyone just hang up just yet. Or Nea, you can go ahead and go if you'd like.
No, I'm staying doggone it. I'm staying to the end doggone it.
Okay. And thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Union of the Unknowns. We love you. We appreciate you. We thank you. Please go to unionoftheunknowns.com and make sure that you click on all of our stuff. Please join us on Discord and be able to come hang out with us and get, as Sam Tripoli likes to say, get weird with us. And yeah, we love everybody. We don't care what your background is. It doesn't matter to us. What your faith is, it doesn't matter, because we're all a bunch of different persons of everything that's on here. And we have a cat. So anyways, thank you so much for coming on. Have an amazing, fantastic, fabulous time, or whatever you feel like doing. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.